Welcome back to the Leadership Match. And today I'm joined by Joe Carter, an entrepreneur and exit strategy expert who has lived both sides of the business building journey. Joe started with one electronics repair shop, scaled to 12 locations, and sold for 7 times EBITDA. But during due diligence, he learned the expensive lesson that missing systems, poor structure, and small decisions can cost millions. The second time, he built differently. He documented everything, created systems, and sold to private equity for 10 times EBITDA. So today, Joe helps business owners and helps them understand a truth meaning. I'm sorry, I got to do that one over. Today, Joe helps business owners understand a truth many learn too late. Revenue does not always equal value. Joe, welcome to the Leadership Match.
Thanks, Martin. So glad to be on. Thanks for the invite. I've been looking forward to this. Can't wait to get started.
Awesome. So happy to hear that. So, before you became known as an exit strategy expert, what experience shaped the way you think about building a business?
That's a fantastic question. So I know you mentioned my two previous companies that I was able to start, scale, and exit. Certainly that added to the experience. But when we sold to private equity, I got the opportunity to stay on with that private equity firm post acquisition. And during that timeline, I assisted them in doing due diligence on over 400 different deals. It was roughly $14 billion worth of evaluation. So I got to see the buyer's lens for an opportunity because I had always been on the seller side. So that gave me a great exposure, a great insight into how private equity firms truly evaluate a business, either adding to your EBITDA multiplier or discounting your EBITDA multiplier based on a variety of different things. And so taking all that experience from both the buyer side and the seller side allowed me the opportunity to give a full range view of that I can help other owners be able to navigate it and not miss out on millions of dollars like I did.
That's a good help right there. You like you said, you sold your first business, I guess I said it, 7 times EBITDA, which is actually already pretty strong, but you also said that you still left money on the table. What did that first exit really teach you?
What that first exit really taught me was you're right. It was about double the EBITDA multiplier for that industry at that time. So we did get a really strong multiplier, but the things that I learned post sale in that particular instance was the dependency for me as the owner. I was running the day to day. I was doing repairs. I was dealing with customers. I was hiring. I was training. I was doing the marketing. There was a lot of things that I personally did. And as a result of that, when it came time to acquire, that next buyer had to look at, how do I replace Joe? Who do I have to hire, train? How do I learn the way that he's done it for this many years and everything like that? So the dependency is really where I got dinged in my evaluation. And that's ultimately what I did differently that second time to be able to get the 10x multiplier.
Awesome. Well, you learned a lesson and you moved on and got
Yes, sir.
10x. Uh,
That's
a
right.
lot of business owners believe that revenue is the main thing buyers care about. Why is that not the full story?
So it's not the full story. I mean, revenue is important. Don't get me wrong. You got to have top line to be able to have anything at the bottom line. But if you take a look at your P&L, there's an awful lot more lines on there than just revenue. And every single one of those things does determine not only your profitability and your margins, but ultimately where you're going to fall in comparison to your peers. When a strong investor or a PE firm is evaluating your firm, they're comparing you against benchmarks, other people in a similar industry, in a similar geographical area, and where they've sold. And what does that person or that company have that you either don't have, or you have better, or potentially you have worse? So it's all based on benchmarks. They're going to look at financial clarity. They're going to certainly look at revenue, but they're really going to look at systemizations. What's your sales look like? What's your marketing look like? What's your operations look like? How are they going to be able to take your system and replicate it 10 times over? Because that's how a PE firm is going to evaluate it. They're not going to try to buy one company and that's it. They're trying to buy multiple companies in the same industry, put them in one ecosystem, and then clump them together and resell it for a profit. So if you can come to the systems with it that they can then apply to some other acquisitions, they don't have to reinvent the wheel because you're already giving it to them. They're going to pay you more and pay someone else less.
Awesome. And when buyers look at a business, what are they really looking for behind the numbers? I know you said systems. Maybe you can dive a little bit deeper on that.
Absolutely. So certainly systemization is a big piece of that. Owner dependency, as I mentioned, that was something I got dinged on. They're going to need to replace you. The capacity for them to do that as easily, quickly, and least expensive as possible certainly helps. Having a leadership team and a KPI structure in place as well are two big, huge differentiational points for a business valuation. Do you have true key performance indicators that drive value in the business, not just revenue, but profit the whole way down, that are being reviewed consistently by the leadership team? Weekly is the standard expectation at a PE level. If you're only doing KPI reviews once a week, you're going to get dinged. You're going to get dinged around 72% because you're not doing it as frequently as you should. Certainly, there's legal and compliance risk and all those things in there as well. But another one that's not very well known out there is also called customer concentration. So what is your top customers? What's their percent of revenue for those top handful of customers that you have? If you're too concentrated, meaning too many of your top customers take up too large of a percent of your total revenue, you actually get discounted for that. It's great to have a big contract, right? But the fear or the risk associated with that to the new buyer is if that one customer leaves, a whole bunch of my revenue leaves with it. So having a low customer concentration is another one as well.
So, what is one system most business owners overlook until it's too late? Do you have a good example for that?
Yeah, there's probably two that I would give you, and that's the importance of financial infrastructure. Almost every small business is using some kind of financial or accounting system, whether it's QuickBooks or something else. That is the starting point. That's not the ending point. You truly need to be in accrual accounting, not in cash, and that generally will take at least a quarter to make that transition. So the sooner you can start, the sooner you get there. And then the second one that I would tell you is SOPs. Almost everybody's got some kind of training document or guide when they bring somebody on, but do you have documented systems for every repeatable task or occurrence that occurs inside of your business? Do you have a standard operating procedure for it? Do you have a playbook? If you have that for everything, you're going to get paid more because you're handing over those systems that somebody else isn't going to have. And so that PE firm will pay you for those types of systems.
So, have that playbook ready to go.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. How can an owner tell if the business is too dependent on them personally?
That's an awesome question, and it's one of the first homework assignments. Yes, I give homework when I have a client. One of the first homework assignments that I do with new clients is I make them take out, I don't care where they do it. It can be a pencil and paper, it can be their phone, their tablet, whatever. Over the course of this week, where all the things or the decisions that you made. And I'll let them do that for a week. And at the end of the week, we go back and we ask, who else could have made that decision? And if more than 25% of those, that's not a large percent. If more than 25% of the decisions you made last week could have been made by somebody else, you're going to be discounted by at least a half a point in EBITDA. And the number just keeps going up as that percentage goes up. So that's one of the first ones. And then I give them a tough test. I was like, what if you disappeared for the next 30 days? I'm sending you on vacation for the next 30 days. What happens to the business? Does the revenue go down? The team stop being motivated? The KPIs go out of whack? You got to think through those types of things because that's how a buyer's going to look at it. You're not gone. You're gone. You're not in the room anymore. What happens to the business? So at least put yourself in the mind's eye. If I wasn't here, what changes? And make that as minimal as possible.
That I think that second one is probably the key. Like literally, what happens if you disappear? Like, are you so in prison that you can't even take a vacation and lose revenue? Because that's a bad business model. That's dependency for sure.
Yes, sir.
And your second exit was obviously different story because you build strategically. You learned, you build strategically. What changed in your mindset between the first business and the second?
Well, that second business, I went in with the mindset of I'm not going to repeat the same mistakes that I already made. So I knew that I needed SOPs on everything that we did. So I found and it's free, and I'm giving them free publicity and advertising on this podcast. But there's a platform called Scribe How, which if you do anything on your computer, it's like the best thing in the world. You literally go on there. It's almost like Zoom. You click start and it records your screen as you're clicking around and you're doing stuff, and you hit stop when you're done. And it will literally spit back out to you an SOP, step by step, telling you what you did, where you clicked, what you typed, the whole process. So you can literally create SOPs as you're already doing the work. But having those types of things, I leaned into that type of software in order to be able to create those SOPs from day one, at least on the computer driven models. And then I just used my phone and would record myself or another team member doing anything else that was not driven on the computer. So we had training videos that we could then turn into SOPs later. So I really kind of began with the end in mind on that second particular exit of when it's time to exit, I want all this stuff that I can just hand them all of these playbooks. So that was a big difference. The second one, which is probably equally as important, but I went after recurring revenue. That was the second thing that I didn't mention earlier that I did learn in my first business. My first business was heavy transactional based, not a ton of recurring revenue streams. And that was certainly a discount that I got hit on as well. So the second company, we went solely after recurring revenue contracts with our clients so that I could proof out and allow a forecasting model to be a much more effective model than one that was just purely dependent upon individual transactions.
That's awesome. And you also use your 4 MOs framework: clear goals, measurable milestones, specific actions, and weekly accountability. Which one do most owners struggle with the most?
Ooh, that's a great question. And thank you for throwing that out there. It's from my book, Driving Not Surviving. Check it out on Amazon. But which one do most business owners miss? Truthfully, the one that they miss the most is the accountability stage. I'm not sure why, but the word accountability gets a bad stigma out there. Nobody likes to be held accountable, right? However, accountability is one of the main things that drives results. But here's the difference that I really teach with my clients. This is not about you as the boss or the owner or the founder at holding someone else accountable. If you get to a place where they hold themselves accountable, it's even more effective. Believe it or not, it really is. So how do you do that? You do that with a cadence where there's a weekly review, hopefully at least with your leadership team or your key stakeholders within every department, where they come to the table and they say, this is what I'm working on. This is how it impacts the business. I'm committing to doing this week in order to move my business forward, for my portion of the business forward. Fast forward a week, they show back up again in the meeting. And now I got to say, did they or did they not do the thing they committed to last week in front of their peers? Nobody wants to show up in front of their peers and say, I didn't do what I said I was going to do. It creates that kind of self-accountability rhythm. Certainly, as a leader, you can lean in and challenge them and course correct them if you need to. But the ultimate goal is they show up every week saying, did they or did they not achieve the commitments that they made? And that creates this self-accountability rhythm that will move the business forward a lot faster than you trying to point, direct, or hold everybody accountable all the time.
And repetition obviously builds it into a habit.
Amen. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So, if you could match every business owner with one habit, advisor, or idea before they ever think about selling, what would it be?
Start with your exit and work backwards from there. So what is it sounds easy, right? But what is your exit? Not everybody's exit's exactly the same. Do you want to sell? Do you want to hand it off to the next generation? Do you want to just have a business that runs itself and gives you residual income? Whatever that exit is, start there and work backwards all the way to the point of what do I have to do today, just today, in order to put myself on track with achieving that exit. Define it and then work backwards and start today.
Well, talking about starting today, what is one action a business owner can take this week to increase the value of their company, even if they are not ready to sell?
Even if you're not ready to sell, do something that's going to do both. Create value and help your business operate better. So that thing would be, if you don't already have it, start having weekly meetings with your key stakeholders for your leadership team. Even if you get it wrong, even if it's not great, you're not sure what to talk about, just getting started with the cadence of getting those people inside the room, you will be shocked how many great ideas come up, how many challenges are made to each other, not you as the owner or the founder, but individually peer to peer to help the growth occur. And then you can figure out what the rhythm works for you. So that's an easy one. And then secondly, if you don't already have SOPs, Download something like Scribe How, something similar to that, and just start doing it. You're already doing the task anyway. Use something. There's plenty of technology out there. Use something that while you're doing the task, you're also creating the SOP, because that will help you not only have better value, but ultimately have the business function better as a result.
Love it. And Joe, where should people connect with you if they want to understand what their business is really worth?
Thank you for asking. So there's a couple of different ways. You can certainly check out our website, twinflametx.com or jwdlegacyadvisors.com. Both strategies can assist business owners. One of them is going to be more heavier on business consultative. The other is going to be on exit preparedness or readiness. So depending on where you're at, do you want to sell the business or do you want to just make the business better? Go check us out there. Very short form that you'll fill out. Either myself or my team will reach out to you. We'll do a free assessment and consultation with you to at least tell you where you're missing. There's a 417-point list that PE uses to value any business. 417 points. I know exactly what all 417 are, and I'll tell you where you stand in reference to all of those so that you at least have the knowledge to know where you're leaving value on the table and do you want to close any of those gaps.
I love it. That was a great reminder that a business should not just create income, it should create value. And revenue matters, but systems, accountability, leadership, and the ability for the business to run without you are what buyers pay attention to. Thanks for joining us on the Leadership Match. Leadership is built one conversation, one connection, and one action at a time. And if this conversation gave you one idea to act on, subscribe, share it with another leader, and I'll see you in the next match. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. See y'all.